going over the quarterly forecast that I just put out for 2025 Q3. We're just going to go through a few points. We're going to do the high level overview. I'm going to go into the cheat sheet that I left up at the top that you can see on your screen right now. Then I'll break down some of the actionable steps that you can follow, and then we'll open up the floor for a few questions. I'll try and keep this done to 45 minutes. Good luck to me, and then we'll let you all out on for the rest of your evening. Okay. So if everyone can see my screen, this is the newsletter that I put out in what was this? It's July 1st. And this is covering my expectations for the crypto market going through the rest of the quarter. If you've been following along with what I do over time, this presentation style for the quarterly forecast has changed dramatically over like the last 4 years. It's always been a challenge to try and bring cycle analysis, which is a highly nuanced and slightly artistic trading analysis framework to be something that is more palatable for the general users. Um, I do kind of like this iteration of it. I feel like I've broken it down to a level that is like pretty simple to understand if you don't even mention the word cycles, which just throws people for a loop. So what the forecast is doing is, or what the new format of the letter is doing is trying to identify the windows of opportunity um, to look for a reversal or something like that in the market or whichever asset that's like up on the screen. The the system of identifying these turning windows is the same system I've been using since 2021. This brand of cycle analysis. It's just really, like I was saying a bit earlier, it's really confusing to like show all these different lines on the chart and not know what those lines mean. So now I'm focusing just on this is a potential turning window and look for technical signals here. And the idea in the accuracy summaries that I've been putting in the newsletter and in the like quarterly like accuracy report is when I'm identifying a turning point window that will be validated the very next turning window. So like if we're at a topping window right now, this topping window will be confirmed or validated if once price reaches the next bottoming window, prices are lower now than they were back then. So that's essentially how I'm measuring my accuracy for these turning windows. It's a lot more objective than before. I was just kind of pointing to random points in time, be like, we were higher here, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, so let's get into the cheat sheet. If you can see it on your screen, this is directly like looking at the newsletter. The main theme, the overarching theme is we have bullish influence, a rise, bullish pressure, whatever you want to call it, moving into late July, where we'll most likely be experiencing some sort of major peaking across the crypto market. And then that would following that we would expect bearish price action or consolidation with a slight downside, like downside price action or pressure going into late August and through the rest of the quarter. Um, this is not suggesting that prices will fall. It's more suggesting like just a ceasing of the uptrend around late July. The highest edge window is a We'll go through the charts in just a minute, but the highest edge window is essentially where the maximum or the window of maximum opportunity, essentially. This is the July 29th through August 7th is a period of time where multiple different assets are showing a peaking window. Like they overlap in various ways. But this time frame, 29th through the 7th, contains multiple windows. So this is the area where we'll most likely see some sort of either bullish, like a bullish peak, so like not necessarily like a blow off top, but like some sort of impulsive action into this window, and or we top out, like we stop moving at that point. Um, the key levels are taken from the prior forecast. We're essentially looking at where the bottoming was, like the previous bottom to the previous top. This is essentially what those key levels are looking at. So like the topping window, the highest high from the topping window and the lowest low from the previous bottoming window is what's going in to create these key levels. Um, Bitcoin obviously is not valid anymore for that key high level since we've set a new all-time high. Um, in the newsletter, in the beginning of the forecast, I listed the allocation 70% exposure, 30% cash. I'm fooling around with how I want this part of the newsletter to look at or to look like. But essentially, it's just you should be exposed. Like there's no reason not to be in the market, and that for this quarter. Um, I ideally, or not ideally, for the most part, a lot of my analysis has been speaking in this sort of long-term perspective, um, where I'm moving things down to just this quarterly level, like 3 month level, um, for this particular publication. Um, because when new people come in to the market or my products or anything like that. Like it's not super helpful to be like, you should be in 90% cash because like I was in from the bottom. Like that's not really helpful. So I want to provide at least some way for people who may be exposed from different points in time in the market, either higher or lower, like where I would be if this like if given like the start of the quarter, this is how I'm planning to deal with my positions like for this quarter, like either starting new ones or existing ones or whatever, like how I want to go. So it would be mostly exposed and having a little bit of cash so we can buy dips that appear, or we can take a breakout of something that comes up. Or we'll be ideally taking profits around that July 9th time, like partial profits, so we can redeploy that again later. So yeah, bullish bias into to recap this, bullish bias into late July, see some major peak in like the July August turn. Our key levels are pretty much blown out at this point in time, and we're aiming to be mostly exposed to the market. Um, yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next part. Um, in the quarterly forecast, I had typically been putting in individual chart links, individual screenshots and images. I'm trying to cut all my stuff down to like just as little information, not as little information, is little extra information as possible, and just giving like the down and dirty stuff, and then allowing people to click through to get to the more interesting stuff. So you have the full site like you have before, the regular size images and the chart links to TradingView down to this link here. Those are all live updated. I know TradingView has gotten stupid lately and like wanting to like push people into subscriptions. You used to be able to see a lot of charts that had custom indicators on them without having a subscription to TradingView. I don't believe that is the case anymore. So for these chart links, specifically for the quarterly forecast, now this is also like gone into why I've changed the format a little bit. Now these chart links will just have the timing windows. There's no custom indicators. There's no anything. So like if you click on the chart links, you should be able to see them whether you have TradingView account or not. So that's like super important. Inside the link, it has I hope you can see my mouse. It has the chart links and the full-size images for each of the assets that we cover. A lot of these you'll be familiar with, some of them you might not. The Crypto 100 price index is a relatively new one. For the past some odd years, I've mostly just been doing the total crypto market capitalization, and Bitcoin is like my major market like indicators. But there's a company, Market Vector, that provides indices, custom indices and stuff like that. So I've essentially scraped the data from their website and have put that into a custom indicator on TradingView so we can see an index of the top 100 cryptocurrencies. There used to be one when FTX was a thing, but there isn't any index on TradingView anymore. So I've created this custom indicator, put it on there. So now we have like our real market indicators where we can look at the total crypto market cap and then like the total, in air quotes, crypto price index. Why you want to look at both price and market cap is because like they tell you the same thing but like different ways, and like you want to know if they are diverging or not, and if they are, that can tell you sort of a different thing about the market. Don't really need to go into that right now. Anyways, all the chart links are there in here if you need them. So let's get on to the actual important stuff, and I might show the my charts for this, but um, the technical deep dive here is breaking down uh, the timing of all these things and how they sort of fit together. We're not going to talk about the before times. So let's just talk about, and let me change my screen sharing option. Sorry. So we can get to a chart. Um, I hope this is the right screen now. Well, I can't tell if this is the right screen, but hopefully you can see my chart link. Um, right now I have up the chart. Actually, can someone in chat like make sure I have my TradingView chart up with the turning windows on? Can someone please put that in chat? Just like okay, cool. Thank you. Um, so right now, what we're looking at is the custom crypto index turning points for Q2, and this one played out absolutely perfectly. And the yellow line is essentially connecting the forecasted high and low turning points or timing windows, and the zigzaggy line in the like light blue color, I think that's light blue, colorblind, sorry, is the actual index performance. So like I was kind of talking about before, like what at the very beginning, like what these timing windows are for is to look for some sort of technical signal to time or confirm a trade like idea. Um, because these are all plotted out ahead of time. And what we're trying to do is like identify the technical signals that will confirm or validate like this happening. And like, I mean, I don't really know. I don't really know what more to say. Like this one couldn't have been any better. Um, I recognize that if you're doing this in real time, like you're not going to peg like the exact lowest low, the exact highest high, the exact lowest low, the exact highest high of each of these timing windows. That's like impossible. But it's really as you can see here, like knowing these windows ahead of time, like is valid. It's helpful to go to your calendar or notebook or wherever you're keeping your information to set some sort of notification or reminder or whatever to be like, hey, this is a bottoming time. Like maybe we should look at what's really like what's gone down that is showing some sort of strength or is slowing down its downtrend. So like maybe I can get into this because I'm expecting it to go higher. Or if we're going higher, like we're in a topping window. So like now we're expecting that bullish trend to slow down. It doesn't have to go down, but at least we're expecting it to stop. And that, this is a good example of that. But anyways, so last quarter's total market played out fantastically. Couldn't have been any better. The total market cap did not hit exactly. We had like one missed timing window. This is mostly Bitcoin's fault because Bitcoin makes up the bulk of the total crypto market cap. So you can see in the same timing window, it essentially drug up the market, so caused some missing across the total market cap and the Bitcoin like forecasted models. We also had some misses here in the last part of the quarter, and I mean, there's not really any sort of explanation for that. It just happens. But anyways, we're not focusing on the past. We're going to try and focus on the future. So let me turn on the Q3 stuff. All right. Returns, current T2. Okay. So oh, also another thing, this this index, the crypto 100, I'm not using this specific one anymore. I've moved on to an equal weighted index. Before this was just market cap weighted index. So like the higher market cap coins would have more influence on the performance of this index, and I don't really want that to be the case because as I was saying, like Bitcoin, if it's doing super awesome, it's gonna skew the performance of the rest of the market. The rest of the market doesn't necessarily have to carry out as well as Bitcoin does. And just looking at the total, like the total index, total 100 price index doesn't necessarily represent the market. Bitcoin is half of the market, more than half the market, but it doesn't represent like the whole entirety of the market. Like it doesn't, the rest of the market doesn't have to follow. And like as we can show a little bit later when we get to the alt BTC chart, like alts have been pretty crap compared to Bitcoin. So like I wanted to create some sort of timing window that respects that relationship. So I've moved to this equal weighted index where each of the altcoins in the top 100 carry the same weight. So it won't show like it won't match Bitcoin as perfectly as the uh, what is it, the market cap weighted index would. You can kind of see it on the screen. Let me turn up the opacity a little bit. So like in orange on this equal weighted chart is Bitcoin, and then the light blue is the equal weighted index. And you can see that they do generally move in the same direction, but there will be times, like specifically the end of last quarter or middle to the end of last quarter, where Bitcoin like was doing freaking baller, and the rest of the altcoin market like did nothing. So like if people were saying like the market's hot, this is on fire, we're doing great, like well no it wasn't. Like you can see that here on the equal weighted index. So I wanted to create some sort of analysis that can capture that sort of like um, relationship. So now we have this equal weighted index, and instead of the market cap weighted index. And yeah, so let's get on with things. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted. I do that. Okay, let me get to. All right, so the we're focusing. I'm just going to share my whole screen. Sorry, instead of picking the one by one by one. All right, sweet. Am I on track? Yeah, okay. So, getting to the actual meat and potatoes here, sorry. We're 30 minutes in. I think I'm doing all right. Getting into the meat and potatoes, what we're looking for at the beginning of the quarter is the divergence around July 4th. On the alt, we're looking at the relationship between the total like the total market and the altcoin. Oh, dang it. I'm on the wrong. I love when I prepare myself and then I'm not prepared. Okay. So what we're looking for is a timing around like the early market here. Well, this came out before. I'm doing this super late. But anyways, there's a timing window, a topping timing window for the altcoin market around early July, which did not coincide or which coincided with a low, like a moving into a low period of time, like coming right after a low in Bitcoin. And what we're expecting, like in this relationship, is for like Bitcoin to outperform because like it has experienced a low while alts relative to BTC are at a high. So like this would suggest that like the heavier weighted market or heavier weighted assets or the heavier not weighted the larger market cap coins inside the basket of all the coins are going to be doing most of the work. So that's kind of a relationship that is now being validated, showing Bitcoin making a nice, real big move, breaking up over all-time highs, doing stuff, while the altcoin market is like not really performing super well. It's kind of just being choppy here. Like since our topping window, we've just fluctuated around this like central point. And this is something that we kind of would be expecting into to continue, like with alts moving up, but not really outperforming against Bitcoin until like this late July point in time where these are moving into a low. So like this window here is most likely in late July, early August, is when Bitcoin will probably be topping out and we'll have maybe a little bit of an altcoin rally, like a short altcoin rally, like the alt season that's like not typical to what we've been used to seeing, but we'll probably see some sort of like blow off around that time in the altcoin sector. Um, and there was something in chat. Sorry. Yes, exactly, exactly. I know you're talking about the equal weighted and like market cap weighted index. Yes, like if you were looking at in the Nasdaq or the S&P or whatever, like the like seven tech stocks that are like freaking baller game busters, and like the rest of the market is kind of and it doesn't really looking at the S&P or the Nasdaq, you're like, yeah, we're doing great, but we're not. Anyway, so early to mid July, bullish overall, Bitcoin winning the most. That's really kind of the broad themes there. Moving into late July, into the early August peak, that's when we're seeing the topping windows for the total market cap, Bitcoin, the SOPR, that's the spend output profit ratio, that's an on-chain metric. Uh, Sorry. So the stopping window is here in late July is a little bit early for not early. It like goes into early August for Bitcoin. If we're looking at the alt BTC ratio, you can see there this extends later. Like the altcoins have an early August low and they move into a high here. So this is the same window. The topping window for BTC is like right here, where the topping window for alts is like right here. So this is this can be represented in two ways. I'm expecting it to be a alt season, but it can also be represented as alts not declining as much as BTC. Like that is an alternate scenario. But what I'm interpreting, what I'm expecting this to be shown up as like some sort of alt rally. Um, but again, like not what we have seen before. Those times are probably over. The spend output profit ratio is an on-chain metric for Bitcoin, pardon me, is an on-chain metric for Bitcoin. It's essentially showing tra if transactions on BTC are taking place from a profit or loss. So essentially, if I bought some Bitcoin, by the time I sell it, has it gone up in value or gone down in value? So like when we get to the same high in the late July timeframe, that is saying from late July to early September that people who bought Bitcoin in this point in time, if they are to sell it around here, it will most likely be at a lower price. So I really enjoy this on-chain metric. It's super great. It's been very accurate. Um, but anyways, it's got the same sort of time. It's got the same timing window in this late July, early August as the equal weighted index as Bitcoin and the total market cap. Um, so that these sorts of things are really aligning up to this like possible peaking time. And just to be clear again, the peak doesn't have to be top like prices at a high and then falls down. It can also be like this explosive, like the timing window can be this explosive move, and then we just stop and like don't do anything for a minute. So like this timing window is like really important, and we will be looking for our like max exposure coming into this window. So like right now is the time you should be buying breakouts and stuff like that. And we'll be looking to at least secure some profits in this late July, early to August window. Um, Moving on into late August, we have just tons and tons of windows that you can see across the chart. Um, Late August, early. So moving in through here, the late August. Let me start the total market cap. That's not the right one. Late August, early September, like we have lots of bunches of timing windows for like tops and bottoms. They just like start popping up all over the place. Just tons and tons and tons of more windows. Not so much for the silver, but that's okay. Like lots of windows popping up. This is suggestive of kind of like distribution, if I was to pick a word, where you have lots of people with lots of different actions and intentions, like participating on a large scale. There's not really going like there likely won't be any real defined price trending, and this fits well, seeing those timing windows in the cycle analysis showing like within cycle analysis shows this like sort of inconsistent and non-trending like possibility that speaks to validation of like a large move happening prior to that. Because if you have a bunch of like things that are breaking all-time highs and setting new, earn price discovery, of course, there's going to be some profit taking from people who have been at the bottom or whatever. And there's also going to be new people that are getting in at the top and are getting liquidated and whatever from like a pretty volatile move. So this, like when we look at the grand scheme of things, like a rally, an early rally, a major peak, and then potential like choppiness or didn't like non-trending action, this all kind of like fits the typical narrative or like traditional market cycle, if you will, of like accumulation to price expansion to distribution. Um, it's just, yeah, I don't, it's just like it's a perfect picture from the patterns. Then moving into late August, early September, we have lows in some of the macro identifiers, well, lows and highs. The financial stress index is showing like a peak, and the 30-year, excuse me, the financial stress is showing a low, and the 30-year bonds are showing a peak. And this macro indication is typically something that you would be seeing around a low or a bottom. Once bond yields, like when financial stress is coming, like the financial stress index is sort of an inverse to prices. You'll see lots of, oh, excuse me, sorry. The financial stress sort of is an inverse relationship between prices and the 30-year bonds typically have been inversely related to crypto prices as well. So seeing the 30-year bonds at a high and coming down would be suggestive of, wow, I don't have, it's horrible. So seeing the 30-year bonds coming off, wait, wow, dang it. Did I write this wrong? No, okay, so August 30th, September 30th. Yeah. Wow, did I? I wrote this backwards. Oof. August 30th, September 5th. I did. Holy crap. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, I did write it backwards. Holy crap. Seeing me fail in real time. Seeing the bonds, sheesh, that's horrible. Yep, I literally wrote this backwards. Um, anyways, seeing the bonds, let me see how I have to reword this now. I'm amazing. Just saying that right now. The bonds being at a low and moving into a high at the end of the quarter typically would suggest like a flight from risk assets into safety assets. And the financial stress in the same time frame, the early August into a high. I cannot believe I wrote this backwards in there. Moving from a local low into a local high would suggest that there's an increase in financial stress because and this is typically in moving inverse to God, I feel like an idiot. I wrote that backwards in my newsletter. It's not the first time I've done that. But anyways, seeing a local low moving into a local high for financial stress and a local low into a high at the end of the quarter would suggest an increase in financial stress and a flight to safety from like risk. So this aligns with the perspective of a downtrend or at least a ceasing of the uptrend near the end of the quarter. So, like overall, we have like just to like recap everything again, as it fits into the traditional cycle that you would see in a financial market, a rally into an explosive peak, into choppiness, into ending of like trending action, potential bearish action. So like your cycle really is kind of all there, and I have to reword that because I wrote them backwards. Anyways, wrapping things up, like I put in what the scenarios are that I was expecting, and the likelihoods were on. rally to a new high, and then also underperforming BTC early and watching for things to sort of slow down in like the late August, early September timeframe. And like we'd be wanting to start reducing our risk and start hedging in like this late July, early August timeframe. So like you'll be taking profits on stuff when if you have my indicators like the CSM, if it signals some sort of bearish trade, or on the daily time frame, the RSI like curls back into the top band. Like this is the time you start to secure a little bit of your partial profits. I'm not saying sell out of all your bags because like we've already almost invalidated my topping thesis. So like we don't want to be completely out. Anyways, the secondary case is what what we might be on given we've broken into a new all-time high. But either one of these two is really on the table right now. Like the odds of this have increased a little bit more, but in essence, like a bullish case is really kind of on track for all of our potential paths forward. The lower ranking or the lower odds outcome of a bearish move, a lower high has already been invalidated. Bitcoin has made a new higher high. The only thing that hasn't is the total market cap, but we are like on the verge of that. Yeah, total. Like we're like a hair away from like a new all-time high in the total market cap. If this occurs prior to the like the August topping window, then my topping thesis that I've been putting out since like last November is essentially, well, the topping thesis is not it's invalidated, but it's invalidated in a sense that we probably won't be rolling into a bear market. The idea that we have hit a top is still true because we have not moved since November of 2024, but my anticipation of rolling into a bear market seems to be uh, misplaced given all the institutional players that are just holding the shit up out of this market. So yeah, the timing windows you want to be looking for. I already mentioned that like late July, early August timeframe window. That's when you want to be looking for your reversals. You want to be looking for breakouts like any point in time now up into that time frame. You want to be slowly reducing your capital allocated to Bitcoin in the July, like the late July timeframe, and then you want to be looking more towards your altcoins in that like early August timeframe. Some price action that you could be looking for during these things is a bullish engulfing candle or hammer candles when you're at support, or bullish engulfing candles when you're like breaking through some sort of resistance. Um, Volume, you'll want to be looking for volume that is higher than anything that's been in like the past 7 to 10 days on your bullish breakouts. That will kind of that'll help add some extra confluence. If you have the RSI, you want to be looking for either like the RSI breaking out of the top band or curling in from the bottom band if you're looking for a bullish trade. And if you're looking for reasons to take profit, you'll be looking for the RSI to be like curling back into that top band, and that'll give you sort of a idea that things might be leveling off. Position sizing for me right now, I'm having the bigger trade sizes when we are on the bullish windows and like decreasing trade sizes once we get to the bearish windows. Like I'm still going to be taking bullish trades because like we're in price exploration, like we're in price discovery. So I'm still going to be taking trades and still I'll be reducing my risk in the red windows and increasing it when we're in the green windows. Um, the from a macro standpoint on the timing windows, we're to be looking to place our stop losses like on a big picture, you can put it like if you're looking at just like a big picture like this, um, like we can in general we can expect that price won't be below this point at the next high window. So like this would be like the invalidation of the idea of like price exploration. So like in a big picture, like your stops can be as low as here, but like ideally you'll want them to be higher than that when you're looking at your trade ideas and stuff like that. But from a general standpoint, like anything above the lows of a bottoming timing window is like perfectly fine. Um, I think I mentioned, oh yeah, I did mention it. So ATRs, the average true range is like a fantastic trailing stop, if you will. Load up a chart, put on the average true range of like 2 or 2.5 times like what the average true range is. I'll go into that later. Well, not later. I'll go into that in the regular weekly newsletter. But anyways, you want to be putting trailing stops on stuff. You don't want to be hard exiting out of all your trades because like we're in an uptrend, and we're also like very, 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 very close to completely invalidating the idea of um, a, a, a long-term Bitcoin cyclical high. Like the and this, I mean this has been like my thesis for the longest time. Like we have this 185 week cycle, and we are very much at like the top of that. But um, the technicals outweigh any sort of like cyclical frameworks. And like if the charts are going up, like that's just what it is. And like there's either some shorter term cycle that just has more power and it's overwhelming things, or the cycles are shifting. So we always want to be following the price, not like the plan, because the plans change. If you can't update your plan based off of new information, then like what's you're never gonna win. So overall, topping thesis is still in place, but the idea of the top may not be the same as I was thinking before, where it's not like a top, then go down, it's a top and then keep going. So the top turns into consolidation instead of being like a traditional top. Where before, like I was expecting let me change the weekly and hide all the stuff. Where before I was expecting the same sort of consolidation and failure, like right down here, we're getting consolidation and then continuation. So the idea of a top still is true. It just means that we have a different outcome after that. And it is what it is. You got to adapt or die. Okay, so we are here 5 minutes from 8 o'clock. I cannot believe I kept that all in under an hour. Do I have any questions? Let me unmute people so you can unmute yourself if you have a question. The floor is open for the next 5 to 10, 15 minutes if anyone wants to chime in.
So, hey, Privacy Smurf. So, not so much of a question, but if you could go back over the dates of when so it seems like the altcoin index that you're using is going to bottom when Bitcoin is topping in the early August, and then it's also topping later on in August. If you could just go over those dates for both Bitcoin and like the altcoins.
Yeah, sure. I glossed over this. The I said that the chart links for and all the images are in the newsletter. It's the same thing for the timing windows. If you click that link in the newsletter, it will open up to a page that gives you all of the timing windows just written out if you
Got
want.
it. I see that. Yeah, I had not clicked on those. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I need to be a bit more clear in stuff. Yeah. But that will give you all the timing windows. But just to show them on the chart. The highs for Bitcoin are in like this 27th to August 3rd range, where altcoins are in a low from the 27th to the 3rd. Like they're in a local low here. So like what that may be presented as is Bitcoin rallying, 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 hitting some like forming some resistance, like where the RSI curls back into the top band or something like that, or we get like a bunch of setups on the correcting strength meter, like bearish, a bunch of bearish setups somewhere during this timing window. And while that is happening, altcoins, like people are rotating out of Bitcoin and into altcoins. So like that's when you would want to be watching the money flow chart. Because like we're already seeing like this rotation right now, a short-term rotation. Like in the newsletter, the weekly newsletter, I talked about the buying the breakouts or looking for a breakout of like the level down. Oh my God, I cannot do this. Looking for a breakout of the level around here for altcoins and a level around here for Ethereum. And like that would be the time to change exposure from Bitcoin to Ethereum. But it like that didn't really, I mean, it played out, but not super great because Bitcoin still made a really big freaking move. It's just that it also brought everything else with it. So once we get into that late timing window, um, you're going to want to see a similar type of setup where like let's say the end of the chart here. I don't think I can go into replay mode. Oh, I can. Sweet. So once we get into that, like we'll just pretend that over here on the right side of the chart is that like late July, early August timeframe, or timing window. We're going to want to see Bitcoin having been at some high, stables also either high or decreasing. And then we're going to want to see the altcoins and Ethereum like starting to trend up, trend up, trend up while Bitcoin's not doing anything. So like once we get into that timing window, like let's say the timing window is like right here, we're going to want to see Bitcoin start to go down during that timing window and these start to like start hard rallying hard. And this is your confirmation of that rotation. So we're going to want to be buying the breakouts of anything that's like at a resistance or has been trending up with Bitcoin. Like once it gets to a high, we're going to want to be buying the breakouts on those altcoins. Like I tend to prioritize uptrending stuff instead of like buying the dips on the things that I like. Like it's just riding what's moving. Like that's the only thing I'm focused on during these like rotations. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how you can get the confirmation between all my charts that I post. Like that's how you would see that or look for that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Sweet. Does anybody have anything? Doesn't have to be on charts either anymore. It can be whatever, I guess.
Hi, good morning for you. Um, Looking at this email that you sent about that your side note about coming soon, launching a radical 5-year public experiment.
Hmm.
I don't know. Is is becoming a member and this is just to pose the question of it all. Into the Charter Quest or the Zen Trader? And is it all the whole thing about an annual fee for all of that, or is there an annual fee for specific things that you do?
Okay,
I mean, I've been
so
around, but I haven't upgraded, is what I'm
yeah, no worries.
saying. So I want to
Um,
upgrade.
in the beginning of Zenalytics, which is like my brand, um, I had a paid newsletter, and that was just to like charge for my work. Um, as I got deeper into things and like more um I don't know how to say that. After a while, noticing changes in the industry, and how a lot of things were presented and people presented their things. And data was freely available and information was all out there. Like that became much less so over time. Data providers started charging stupid fees, and um, influencers charge for their stuff and all this other stuff, like learn from blah 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 blah. And like it kind of frustrated me seeing how gate kept information and knowledge was. Um, and that just like that's really depressing to me. It shouldn't be so hard for people to like get good information, or do like analysis. So I eventually changed Zentrades to be free. There weren't any paid subscriptions anymore, and well, there weren't paid subscriptions for access to the information. I still left paid, like I turned off everyone's recurring subscriptions, and I made it so I put out a post saying if you wanted to have a paid subscription, it would just go towards like it would just be you voicing your support for my work. Like it's not necessary. Everything in Zen Trades is completely free. Like that'll always be the case. The subscription for Zen Trades was just to help me out with like data provider costs or to just show support for my work. Um, the new thing I kind of talked about at the beginning, but the new thing is me trying to break into the industry a bit more. And I can't do that by just being a good analyst with a newsletter. Like that's not going, no one's going to like, well, okay, not no one. People of high influence are probably not going to be paying me or listening to me because I've got a good newsletter and a really good track record for forecasting, even though that should be enough. Um, so it's me trying to get all the certifications and letters behind my name so people of mass influence can can consult me or can hire me for consulting, so I can tell them what to do. It is also a free newsletter. Like, I mean, it's not a newsletter. There's not going to be any analysis in there. It's literally just me, like every week, like showing up and talking about what I did in the process. It will, any subscription to that will be, again, going to show support. And if you are a subscribing member, I do have a freelance profile on Upwork for doing data analysis. Like this, that's going to be like where my career, if you will, as an analyst will be worked through from whatever. So if you are a subscriber to the diary that I'm putting out, Chartered Quest, then you will have access to a discount code for hiring me or something like that. I haven't fully fleshed that out, but it's just like it's just a show of support and like how you can um, get a discount if you want.
Well, thank you for that. I have tried to keep up with you. I very much appreciate the efforts that you've put in, and I do like your photos of the places you travel to also.
Thanks.
So I would like to support. I want to become a annual member, and then I just selected income. And then the part about are you already into your freelance services? I guess I missed that part when I was the last few years I've been watching you. Do you do
Um,
freelance services? Question mark.
I I have it yes, it has been there, but not really like an advertised thing. I kind like at one point in time I did have a link set up where you could like book like a 90-minute consultation. I didn't broadcast it because like that wasn't really like what I was like trying to like that wasn't my goal. Like that wasn't what I wanted to do. Um, but that like my thoughts and plans for myself change over time. Um, so so yeah, I do have a profile on Upwork that I just started like last week. All the like sort of getting up and running things are going to be in like the next newsletter or not the next post in Charter Quest, talking about like my initial setup process and like my roadmap. The freelance services that I will be offering, I'll have essentially four categories. Data analysis, so like people can send me their information and I can give them some insights. Um, Data entry or like maintenance management sort of thing. Like I can create the pipelines for them to do like to build their databases because like I've got insane practice doing that for myself for over the years. Then in like the trading or portfolio management sort of thing, it's a blend of like coaching and or just like a strategy sort of meaning like what it like for the coaching side of things, it's like what is it that you're doing, what is it that you want to get out, how can we create a systematic framework to achieve that. And for the portfolio stuff, it'd be like what's your portfolio, where are your weaknesses, where are your strengths, like how can you make adjustments or recognize when to make adjustments kind of thing. Those are sort of the four areas that I'm gonna try and focus on. Ideally, like I want to be working for, I mean, the freelancing will be for anybody, but like I'm really wanting to break into uh, like analysis for larger firms and stuff like that. But I gotta start somewhere, you know?
Well, I appreciate that. I'm willing, I'm more than willing to be one of those people that you can start with. So I will follow the instructions, and then when it's time to, I love one of those portfolio coaching strategy things.
Can anybody? All right. So sorry to interrupt like that, but originally I would have liked to say thank you very much for doing this, Smurf. Everything that you do, we appreciate everything. And I wanted to get at you always hear or you see that there's less and less bitcoins being held on exchanges, and just recently there was a movement of a large number of bitcoins that hadn't been touched in about 10, 14 years or something or whatever. There were two of them, and if they were to, like, take these out on some exchange and then try to, and I hear people talk about like a liquidity crisis would happen on the exchange unless they like split it all up. And you have all these people who have a public wallet that they let everybody see because they were the first people in or whatnot. And isn't it possible that they could have some other wallets that they've never told anybody that hold many more bitcoins that people don't know who they are? And with all the other world entities getting involved, what if just one of these sand nations with these trillions of dollars put in like 1% like into their Bitcoin? They decide to Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman, any of these like really, really like, rich nations. And what's stopping these other people who have these hidden wallets that have been holding Bitcoins for so long? Even these people who have it, like maybe Michael Saylor or Tim Draper, CZ, for them to be like, they sell or they buy back. And uh, uh, and since let's say people are holding on to the Bitcoins and there's less and less on exchanges, what happens to the altcoins in the end if like everything follows Bitcoin and then there's just like no Bitcoin being traded and it's all being held?
Okay, so there are a couple pieces to this. One, Bitcoin supply on exchanges is a faulty narrative. I wrote a piece about this for one group, and I'll see if I can find the link to it. Uh, People use that as a narrative driver for a potential price increase or like a pump or whatever you want to call it. And like that's bullshit. Like I can go back to all the prior market cycle tops where people were talking about Bitcoin is at a historically low rate of exchanges. Like supply reserves are bad. This can be a new liquidity crush or not liquidity crush, a liquidity squeeze or whatever, and a supply shock, and we'll have a really big increase. And like that has occurred at least the last two tops where we've had lows supply on exchanges, and it's just continued to go lower. Like that is not a good timing metric. Now, with dealing with people who are buying tons and tons and tons of Bitcoin, that's for the most part, they're buying OTC. They're not buying off of exchanges, anyways. If they are buying off exchanges, it is also probably just like a narrative, not really narrative, but it's kind of a pump my bags, like get people into the excitement so they can see the market go up. Like there's probably an element of that to it. Um, Now talking about the allocation size of a bunch of different people. This is a multifaceted like question and answer. Something that I think is interesting that doesn't really get considered a lot is if a company is buying Bitcoin as a reserve asset, they're not necessarily buying it for diamond handing. Like it doesn't benefit a company to have an asset that it doesn't do anything with, right? Like they're buying the Bitcoin as either a hedge for dollar devaluation or they're buying it to have a liquid asset that they can sell in a crisis for like in a company crisis, not because the like market's going down, but because they have something that's happening that's like affecting their profitability. So they need to be raising capital from somewhere else. So even if all these companies that are putting Bitcoin on a reserve asset, it would probably be something similar to Tesla. Like they bought a bunch of Bitcoin and then ended up selling a crap ton of it just because like they could and to see if the market was liquid enough. Um, so like I imagine a lot of companies that are buying it to put on their reserves aren't diamond handers like Michael Saylor. Um, Another kind of piece to that is like there's not really a point to holding an asset if you can't leverage it. So the tools for like this is something that I would expect to see like fundamentally or like big picture, like the rails for DeFi or leveraging like Bitcoin instead of just like holding it because like it doesn't fucking help you to hold it and do nothing with it. Um, then sort of the like counterpart to lots of people holding Bitcoin, like institutional demand for Bitcoin increasing over time, theoretically or hypothetically, like leads to another problem. The more people, like the people who have the most money, who are holding the most Bitcoin, makes and like add on the not I don't know why I did air quotes there add on the supply on exchanges decreasing, OTC desks losing a lot of their supply. Like the more that happens, the less liquid Bitcoin becomes. And the less liquid Bitcoin is, the less useful it is to have as a reserve asset. Because like you can't like what's the point of having a reserve asset that you can't sell? So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like I don't really know where things will go. But the simplicity of saying like supplies are low on exchanges doesn't mean prices will go up. And companies bringing on Bitcoin to their reserves also doesn't have to mean that they'll be holding it for forever and prices will go up. And also, the more people that are holding Bitcoin means the less liquid supply, which would be a bad thing for everybody. Um, so it's like there's good and bad to this to this whole thing. Like with Bitcoin being very low on supply on exchanges means the market's less liquid and it's more prone to volatility at this point in time. That could be both up and down. But yeah, it's kind of all I got
So
for that.
can't buy what's not there. If it's not there,
But
you can't buy it, obviously.
yeah,
If it's not there, you can't get it. So if
yep,
everybody's holding it and you can't sell it to anybody, just like whatever you have in the world is only worth what someone is willing to give you for it.
exactly. And
So
one,
another thing I forgot
yeah,
to say, yeah,
go ahead.
I forgot to say, I wanted to mention, I completely disagree. Earlier, you said that you wouldn't be recognized just for the analysis about the on timing of all the scheduling of the right moves. There's plenty of people out there who just do that and they're followed. And a lot of us are trying to get you out there. So don't worry, it's just coming. But you will be recognized just for the hits that have been coming. So I completely disagree with you on that. I wanted to say. And another thing I wanted to ask with this liquidity thing that's kind of a connection. In the past, we've had, obviously there were big hacks and big, whatever, like from Mount Gox to Luna and all these other things. What is the possibility of something like this happening again, maybe in the crypto world? Because it seems like it's, happens more in the crypto world than in the stocks or, even like penny stocks where, you see a lot of these Chinese companies on the market. You just pump and dump. But, you don't really talk about that. But if something were like to happen like that with crypto again, what do you think, like what would be something like along the lines of what we've seen with FTX and, all these other things happening? And when do you see, if you do see it at all happening?
When? I have no idea. Is it possible? Yes. When I was still when I was more in the camp of a bear market, uh, the catalyst for that action would have been either a hack of a platform or a large new holder or company getting out of the market, or price going down enough that a company who had been bringing on a bunch of Bitcoin got too exposed to downside and had to liquidate. One of those three possible like big events could have precipitated a sort of what is it? I can't remember. Like a
Hmm.
cascading effect of bearish price action. Uh,
Fear
given
selling.
yeah, given where we're at and the appetite for buying by big players right now, that doesn't really seem like a short-term possibility. Again, we'll take a look and see like I would say timing would usually rely around these like high, I don't know if you remember it at the beginning, but like the highest edge windows, like the late July, early August timeframe, maybe something happens then. Or in the next quarter, we're probably going to get another timing window again, like it's like that where a bunch of stuff lines up. Like it would be somewhere around those overlapping timing windows that like some major event will probably or is more likely to occur. So in the short term, maybe then. Otherwise, I wouldn't really put that on my bingo card.
Right, and it doesn't have to be an event, right? Can it be just one person holding like some
Sure.
shitload, or a couple
Yeah.
people that say, "Hey, it's like you remember those bitcoins we had, 10 years ago? You ready?"
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah,
Cool.
awesome, man. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you for all who attended.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody being here, and thanks for your time, and thanks for putting up with me for as long as you've been a part of it. And I will see you all on Substack and Discord, and we'll have more stuff in the future. And I'm happy to interact with anybody and everybody at any point in time. Just let me know, you know where I'm at, or I'll put out links again. So everybody have a good day, and I will, well, night, I guess, for most of you, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care.